What's going on today? McLaren? It looks like the car is being developed around Norris and Oscar. He suddenly has to change his driving style. Verstappen versus Hamilton? For once, the stewards actually handled it well. Russell? I love the guy, but sometimes he has selective memory, yo. Today we're talking about what's going on at McLaren because things are starting to heat up. And not because of the Mexican sun, but because of Setup Gate. And at the end, we'll jump into the topic that bugged me all weekend. Why did Max avoid a penalty while Lewis got one? Let's go. McLaren, are they favoring one driver? So, you know the story. For a few weekends now, something has clearly shifted at McLaren. And this has been my theory for a while. The car is starting to be built a bit more for Lando than for Piastri. After the race, both drivers said very important things. But let's start with what Stella said. After qualifying, we carefully analyzed Oscar's situation in terms of data, comments, and video. We drew important conclusions about how the car needs to be driven in these low-grip conditions like in Mexico and to some extent Austin. Here, you need to drive in a way that adapts to the fact the car slides a lot. That isn't necessarily the driving style in which Oscar naturally performs best. We identified a few factors to change in the car and a few he could improve in his driving. Oscar should be proud of how he adapted between quali and the race. Today he applied those changes and was clearly more competitive. So Stella says it's not a conspiracy or philosophy change. Oscar just struggles with low grip. Mexico and Austin are slippery. Oscar must adjust. Sounds fine, but there have been slippery tracks earlier this year and Oscar handled them well. And Oscar says something completely different. After quali, I didn't make mistakes. The car felt balanced. But the pace just wasn't there. After the race, he openly admitted, I tried many different things. I was behind a lot of cars, so it was hard to judge. For some reason, the last 2 weekends required a completely different driving style. What worked across the previous 19 races suddenly needed something totally different. I tried to understand why. It was a challenge. Today was about experimenting. The style I had to drive with the last 2 weekends is not natural for me. In other words, something in the car did change. To me, Piastri is having to adapt to a car that has shifted in direction. And what did Norris say in his Sky interview? Today I felt better in the car. It all depends on how I feel in it. Last year I felt very good and could get better results. This year I struggled to get comfortable. And Lando basically laid it all out. After Singapore, he asked for a specific development direction because he didn't feel the car. McLaren followed, and now, Lando flies. Oscar doesn't. Lando said, we had a debrief for 30 minutes and I said, guys, this is exactly the car I don't want. This is why we can't win more races and why we won't in the future if we keep a car that doesn't give me what I need. This weekend I had more of what I need. McLaren updated the car suits Norris doesn't suit Piastri. Coincidence? Sure, technically fair. A team can choose its direction, but the smell here is, let's say, intense and not exactly pleasant. And yes, Norris has already covered himself politically. I couldn't complain when Oscar was winning. Question now, if the upgrade suits only Lando, why is Oscar forced to run it too? For data? For fairness? Or, well, let's see on the next tracks. Norris is right. 1 weekend means nothing. We'll see. Vegas is slippery. Interesting test. Max versus Lewis. Why only Hamilton got a penalty? Emotions were high. I support Max, but I like fair play. I also had that wait, why 10 seconds for Lewis and nothing for Max moment. I dug through onboard footage and FIA directives, and it actually makes sense. Simple breakdown start. Max got squeezed, no room, car bounced, took to the grass, gave the place back to Lewis. Clean. Russell didn't need to be ahead. He was far behind Max. So is radio whining? No idea why. Fun fact, another driver caused the issue. Leclerc cut the corner and didn't give the place to Lewis. That's where the chaos started. Max versus Lewis fight. Key moment onboard show. Max is at the apex before Lewis, entitled to the line Lewis turns in on him. Contact Lewis goes off track, not a dive bomb. Max was entitled to space. He knows the rules, reacted instantly. The decisive one, turn 4. Lewis brakes too late, locks up, goes straight, cuts the track, comes back ahead, doesn't give the place back textbook, leaving the track and gaining a lasting advantage. So, plus 10 seconds. Max? He left the track, but did everything to stay on track, rejoined correctly, did not gain a position. Did everything by the book. Hamilton didn't. Period. And yes, Lewis did the same thing in Abu Dhabi 2021 and got away with it. Karma? Maybe bonus. Russell and hypocrisy of the year. Russell complained about drivers cutting the track and not giving places back. Spain 2023. George cuts, gains position, zero self-reflection. What can I say? Karma loves F1. Let me know in the comments. Do you think McLaren is favoring one driver, plus Team Max or Team Lewis in this incident? Drop a like, subscribe, and see you tomorrow for another F1 deep dive.